Welcome, wanderers. My name is Silas, and I'm your storyteller here at Slumberlight Tales. Tonight, I invite you to step with me into a world where winter arrives not with a howl, but with a hush. The story begins when Lily stirs in her four-poster bed, the familiar crimson hangings of the Gryffindor dormitory casting a warm, sleepy glow. A prickle of cold air, unusual for the usually well-insulated common room, brushed her cheek, and the distant world outside seemed swallowed by an unnatural quiet. Her eyes fluttered open, drawn to the tall Gothic window, and there it was, a blanket of pristine, untouched white stretched as far as the eye could see. The Quidditch pitch, usually a vibrant green scarred with practice scuffs, was now a dazzling expanse, rimmed by the dark skeletal lace of the Forbidden Forest. The turrets and spires of Hogwarts, etched against the pale dawn sky, wore caps of snow, their ancient stones softened by a delicate sugary dust. It was the first snow. A gasp escaped her lips, quickly followed by a muffled squeal. Her roommate, Parvati, groaned from the next bed, pulling a pillow over her head. But Lavender, in the bed opposite, was already sitting up, her eyes wide with wonder. "Lily, look!" "I know." Lily scrambled out of the bed, her bare feet meeting the cool stone floor, momentarily forgotten in her excitement. She hurried to the window, pressing her nose against the cold pane. The air outside was thick with swirling flakes, like a million tiny diamonds dancing on an invisible current. The world was utterly transformed, rendering magical in a way even Hogwarts rarely managed to achieve. The common room, usually a scene of morning chaos, was still largely quiet, but a few early risers were already gathered at the windows, murmuring in awestruck tones. The crackle of the fireplace, usually a backdrop, now felt like a warm embrace against the visible chill. The scent of pine and wood smoke mingled with the crisp, clean smell of fresh snow that seemed to permeate even the thick castle walls. A surge of energy coursed through Lily. This wasn't merely snow, this was Hogwarts snow, imbued with the castle's ancient magic from the moment it began to fall. She quickly pulled on her uniform, adding an extra thick jumper and her warmest Gryffindor scarf, the wool comforting against her neck. She could already hear the distant, excited chatter from other dormitories, the sounds echoing faintly through the winding staircases. The Great Hall was already a symphony of sights and sounds when Lily arrived. It was always impressive, but this morning it was truly breathtaking. The enchanted ceiling mirrored the exact gray-white scudding of the real sky, with fat, lazy snowflakes driving gently downwards, dissolving into mist just before they reached the tables. The air was alive with the excited hum of hundreds of students, their breath misting slightly as they spoke, then disappearing into the warmth radiating from the floating candles and roaring fireplaces that lined the hall. The long tables groaned under the weight of breakfast, steaming platters of sausages, crispy bacon, fluffy scrambled eggs, mountains of buttered toast, and stacks of syrupy pancakes. The scent of hot coffee, treacle tart, and cinnamon wafted through the air, mixing with the sharp, clean smell of the outside world that clung to everyone just entering. Lily found Arthur, her Ravenclaw friend, already deep in conversation with Finn, the ever-cheerful Hufflepuff, at the Gryffindor table, a full plate already before him. "Morning, Lily," Finn grinned, his face already rosy despite being indoors. "First snow, can you believe it?" "It's incredible," Lily breathed, piling her plate high. She took a sip of hot pumpkin juice, the sweet warmth spreading through her. "I've never seen it quite like this. It feels different." Arthur, always analytical, pushed his spectacles up his nose. The air pressure dropped significantly overnight, combined with a precise moisture content. Professor Flitwick was discussing it yesterday. Ideal conditions. He paused, a rare glint of excitement in his eyes, though I suspect a few well-placed weather charms might have encouraged it a tad. He winked, conspiratorially. "Of course they did," Lily laughed, knowing full well that the Hogwarts professors adored a good excuse for a bit of harmless, celebratory magic. "So what's the plan for today? We can't just have classes, can we?" News spread quickly through the great hall, whispered from one end to the other by house elves, darting between the tables, and prefects looking uncharacteristically jovial. Headmistress McGonagall, with a stern but undeniably pleased expression, announced that morning classes would be shortened and afternoon classes entirely cancelled for a period of supervised recreational activities on the grounds. A collective cheer erupted, shaking the enchanted ceiling and sending a cascade of harmless dissolving snowflakes onto the students below. The afternoon was officially sanctioned for snow. The rush out of the castle was a joyful stampede. Students, bundled in scarves, hats, and gloves of every house color, poured onto the grounds. The air outside was a bracing shock, but invigorating. The cold nipped at Lily's exposed cheeks, turning them rosy, and her breath plumed out in white clouds with every excited shout. The world was hushed, muffled by the thick white carpet, but alive with the crackle and crunch of hundreds of footsteps. Immediately, students began experimenting. A pair of first years giggled as they tried a simple Wingardium Leviosa on a handful of snow, watching it wobble uncertainly in the air before plopping back down. A group of older Hufflepuffs were conjuring miniature, glowing snow lanterns, dotting them across the lawn like silent, watchful eyes. From the distant Quidditch pitch, a group of Slytherins were already shaping what looked like a suspiciously colossal snow dragon, its scales glinting with frosty magic. "Alright, first things first," Lily declared, turning to Arthur and Finn. She pulled out her wand, a familiar warmth in her hand. "Fossilo," she said. A soft yellow light emanated from her wand tip, washing over them. The air around them felt subtly less biting, just enough to make the cold enjoyable rather than uncomfortable. "Good call," Arthur said, already scanning the pristine landscape. strategic advantage. Finn was already scooping up snow, his eyes bright. Snowball fight? He asked. Is that even a question? A new voice joined them. Seraphina, a Slytherin in their year, elegant even in her bulky winter robes, approached, a smirk playing on her lips. I heard Gryffindors were planning something pathetic. Thought I'd offer some real competition. Lily raised an eyebrow, a grin spreading across her face. Pathetic. We were just getting warmed up. You want in, Seraphina? Wouldn't miss it, she drawled, though her eyes sparkled with genuine merriment. I've been practicing my shield charms all morning, she said. And so, the stage was set. The four of them, an unlikely alliance, decided to take on a larger group of Ravenclaws and Hufflepuffs, who were coalescing near the Whomping Willow, already constructing a rather elaborate snow fort. Okay, strategy meeting, Arthur announced, suddenly in his element. He pointed his wand at a patch of snow, making a miniature holographic map appear. Lily, your speed and defensive charms. Finn, your charming nature will distract. Seraphina, I need your precise defensive work and counter spells. I'll handle long-range propulsion and strategic aiming. My charming nature, Finn chuckled, but he was already gathering a stockpile of snowballs, subtly compacting each one with a quiet reducio spell, making them denser and faster. Lily, meanwhile, was experimenting with a propulsion charm. Depulso, she muttered, flicking her wand. A snowball shot from her hand with astonishing speed, whistling past a startled first year and embedding itself perfectly in a distant snowdrift. Seraphina, meanwhile, was testing her own defenses. She twirled her wand, and a shimmering, almost invisible shield flickered into existence around her, deflecting a rogue snowball launched by a premature Ravenclaw. Amateurs, she sniffed, but her lips twitched. The battle began with a volley of ordinary snowballs, quickly escalating into a magical melee. The air was thick with flying white projectiles, some imbued with streaks of blue light from a propulsion charm, others leaving faint yellow trails from a heating spell that made them melt upon impact. Shield charms shimmered, deflecting volleys of snow, while others dissolved incoming attacks with a simple incendio. Lily was a blur of motion. She ducked and weaved, her Gryffindor scarf streaming behind her, launching snowballs with unique charms that made them seem to stick better to their targets. She giggled as a perfectly aimed snowball splatted against a Ravenclaw's spectacles, momentarily blinding him. Arthur, meanwhile, perched strategically behind a small snowdrift he'd quickly created to provide cover. He was a master of precision. His snowballs flew with uncanny accuracy, often ricocheting off surfaces before finding their targets. He was also subtly conjuring small, floating sprites using his charms, sending them to harass opposing teams, distracting them with their swirling, icy dance. Finn, despite his gentle nature, was surprisingly effective. He'd cast a series of Lumos Maximus spells, creating shimmering, disorienting light flashes over the enemy fort. making it harder for them to aim. Then, with a joyful shout, he launched a barrage of subtly charmed snowballs that, instead of splattering, gently puffed apart into glittery, harmless fairy dust upon impact, eliciting squeals of both annoyance and delight. Seraphina, true to her word, was an impenetrable fortress. Her shield charms were almost artistic, rippling and shifting with effortless grace, deflecting even magically enhanced snowballs with minimal effort. When she did go on the offensive, her snowballs flew with pinpoint accuracy, accompanied by a faint, almost musical hum. She even once managed to conjure a mini snow golem, a comical, lumbering figure that slowly advanced on the enemy, pelting them with snowballs before melting into a puddle of icy water. The grounds had become a chaotic, joyful battlefield. Shouts of heads up, incoming, and cries of got you echoed across the snowy landscape. Spells, both simple and complex, woven with laughter and friendly competition, filled the air. A group of older students from various houses had conjured a massive snow dragon that roared, not with fire, but with blasts of snow, guarding an intricate ice castle they were constructing. Across the lawn, two groups were having a literal tug of war, but with ropes of conjured ice, their feet slipping in the snow. Suddenly, Lily felt a snowball zip past her ear, missing only by inches. She spun around to see a triumphant Ravenclaw, Michael, grinning at her. "Not so fast, Gryffindor," he yelled. "Oh, it is on, Michael," she retorted, conjuring three snowballs simultaneously and launching them in quick succession. One hit his shoulder, another his chest, and the third, perfectly aimed, knocked his hat off, sending it tumbling into a snowy bush. The fight raged for what felt like hours, a delicious blur of cold air, warm magic, and endless laughter. Eventually, limbs aching and robes damp, both sides called a joyful truce, collapsing in the snow, breathless and exhilarated. Their faces were flushed red from the cold and exertion, hair damp with melted snow, but their grins were wide and genuine. Even Seraphina was laughing, a rare, uninhibited sound. "That was surprisingly good, Gryffindor," she admitted, wiping a streak of snow off her cheek. "Especially that multi-ball charm, Lily." "You weren't so bad yourself, Slytherin," Lily countered playfully. "Those shield charms were practically impenetrable." As the sun began its slow descent, painting the skies in hues of orange and soft purple, a new idea sparked. "We should build something," Finn suggested, brushing snow from his Hufflepuff scarf. "Something amazing." Arthur, always up for a challenge, immediately began sketching designs in the snow with his wand, tracing glowing lines. "A moving sculpture, something that reflects the magic of Hogwarts," he said. Lily's eyes lit up. "A phoenix, a snow phoenix rising from the grounds." Seraphina, surprisingly, seemed intrigued. "A phoenix would require delicate transfiguration and animating charms, and a stable core structure," she said. "Exactly," Arthur beamed, his analytical mind already dissecting the problem. "We'll need to reinforce the snow, internally perhaps, with a freezing charm to make it as hard as ice, then shape it with precision. Lily, you can handle overall shaping and general form. Finn, your gentle charm work would be perfect for the feather details and the subtle glow. Seraphina, you'll be crucial for the animating charm and ensuring its stability. I'll focus on the structural integrity and the intricate movements. They found a fresh, undisturbed patch of snow near the edge of the black lake, the distant shimmering surface a canvas for their creation. The air grew colder as dusk approached, but their combined warming charms kept them comfortable. Lily started by piling huge mounds of snow, using the levitation spell Wingardium Leviosa to lift massive chunks and then compact them into a solid base. Her hands, despite her gloves, were growing numb from the cold, but her excitement kept her going. She shaped the torso and the beginnings of the graceful neck. Then Finn stepped in, his hand moving with surprising delicacy. He cast unique spells, shaping individual feathers along the developing wings, each one distinct and intricate. He then layered on Lumos Lenis charms, causing the snow to softly glow from within, giving an ethereal, pulsing light to the feathers, as if the phoenix was truly alive beneath its snowy skin. Seraphina, meanwhile, worked on the head, her precision evident in every curve of the beak and the sharp, knowing outline of its eyes. She also began applying small, complex runes of animation onto the snow with her wand tip, each glyph shimmering briefly as it was etched into the frozen form. The challenge isn't just to make it move, but to make it flow, she mused, adjusting a tiny enchantment, like a real creature, not a puppet. Arthur moved around their creation, his wand tracing invisible lines, reinforcing weak points and adjusting the overall balance. He worked on the large fanning tail feathers, ensuring that they would unfurl gracefully. He was also preparing the final, intricate, animating sequence that would bring all their individual efforts together. The sun finally dipped below the horizon, casting the world in a deep sapphire blue. Faint starlight began to pepper the sky, and the distant lights of the castle windows glowed like friendly eyes. Yet, the phoenix wasn't quite ready. A surge of frustration sparkled through Lily. It needs more life, more fire, she said. Arthur nodded, something to give it that final spark, but not actual fire, or it would melt. A warmth charm, combined with an illusion of embers, Seraphina pondered, tapping her chin with her wand. A colorous illustress linked to a flamma fallax for the eyes. That would give it the illusion of smoldering heat without the destructive element. It was a risky combination, demanding perfect timing and control. Each of them contributed their unique skill. Arthur meticulously prepared the combined charm sequence, his brow furrowed in concentration. Finn focused on a wide area aesthetic charm, ensuring the illusion would appear natural. Seraphina prepared the core animating charm, ready to infuse the entire structure with responsive movement. Lily, with a final burst of creative energy, shaped the very tips of the wings, giving them a soaring, dynamic flair. Ready? Arthur whispered, his wand glowing softly. They all nodded, their faces illuminated by the faint light of their wands and the shimmering snow. Together, in a moment of synchronized magic that transcended house loyalties, they cast the spell Animus Coloris Illustris Flamma Phalanx. A collective gasp escaped them. The snow phoenix towering over them shivered. Then, with a slow, majestic grace, its head lifted, its eyes, previously just indentations in the snow, now glowed with an eternal amber light, flickering like distant embers. A wave of warmth radiated from its chest, and the intricate feather details on its wings began to ripple as if about to beat. The long fanning tail feathers unfurled, shimmering with a soft internal light. It wasn't just a statue, it was alive, a creature of pure frozen magic, born from their combined efforts. It let out a silent, majestic cry, its snowy form seeming to pulse with inner light against the darkening sky. For a long moment, they simply stood, awestruck by their creation, the biting cold forgotten. This was more than just a snow sculpture, it was a testament to collaboration, to friendship, and to the boundless magical possibilities of Hogwarts. Eventually, their stomachs rumbling and the cold finally beginning to seep into their bones, they made their way back to the castle. The warmth of the entrance hall was a welcome embrace, the scent of hot food drifting from the great hall, promising comfort. They peeled off their damp robes and scarves, leaving a trail of melted snow, their cheeks still flushed, their fingers tingling. The great hall for dinner was a boisterous affair. The air buzzed with recounting tales of snow duels, magical fortresses, and fantastical snow creatures. Students ate with gusto, devouring roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and steaming shepherd's pie. Then moving on to mountains of treacle tart and pumpkin pasties. Lily, Arthur, Finn, and Seraphina found themselves recounting the tale of their phoenix, their words tumbling over each other in excited bursts. A few curious onlookers, including some admiring Ravenclaws, listened intently, impressed by their collaborative masterpiece. After dinner, the four friends settled together in the Gryffindor common room. Seraphina, though a Slytherin, was often a welcome guest for special occasions, the enmity forgotten for the day. The fire in the hearth roared merrily, casting dancing shadows on the worn tapestries. They nursed mugs of hot, spiced pumpkin juice, the steam warming their faces. A game of wizard chess was underway in one corner, punctuated by the sharp clicks of the enchanted pieces and the occasional frustrated groan. Near them, a group was quietly discussing tactics for next week's potions exam, but most everyone was simply content to relax, the day's exhilaration still thrumming beneath their skin. Lily leaned against a squashy armchair, stirring her pumpkin juice with her wand, a faint glow emanating from the tip. She felt utterly content, a delicious exhaustion settling into her limbs. The day had been perfect. The crisp air, the thrill of the snowball fight, the shared triumph of the snow phoenix. It was a reminder that magic wasn't just about spells and potions, but about shared experiences, about creativity, and about finding joy in the simple yet profound wonders of the world. Finn, sprawled on a rug by the fire, let out a contented sigh. Best snow day ever, she said. Undeniably, Arthur agreed, polishing his spectacles with a careful hand. A highly efficient and enjoyable use of a day, all things considered. Seraphina, perched elegantly on the arm of a sofa, simply smiled, a rare, genuine smile that softened her reserve. It was invigorating, she exclaimed. The common room slowly began to quiet down. Students drifted off to their dormitories, their voices fading into the distance. The fire crackled, its flames dancing, casting long, wavering shadows. The smell of old parchment, warm wool, and lingering wood smoke filled the air. Lily felt her eyelids growing heavy, the warmth of her mug seeping into her hands, the rhythmic crackle of the fire, a soothing lullaby. The day had been full of bright, sharp magic, of laughter and spells, of cold air and warm hearts. Now, as the castle prepared for sleep, a different kind of magic settled upon them, a quiet, comforting magic. Lily thought of the silent, majestic phoenix glowing softly on the grounds, a sentinel of their shared joy. She thought of the intricate patterns of frost on the window panes, the gentle sigh of the wind outside, carrying the faintest whisper of falling snow. She let the sounds of the day drift away now, the shouts of joy, the crisp crunch of snow underfoot, the hum of spells, the clutter of dinner. She allowed them to soften, to fade into the gentle murmur of the crackling fire. She felt the warmth lingering on her cheeks, the subtle ache in her muscles from a day well spent, and she let it melt into a comfortable ease. The world outside is peaceful, wrapped in a blanket of white. The magic of Hogwarts pulses softly, a comforting presence. The day is done now. The adventures are over. There is nothing left to do but rest. She let her body sink deeper into comfort, her mind growing calm and quiet. Like a gentle snowfall, she let her thoughts drift and settle, each one softer than the last. The warmth of the fire, the soft blanket, the peace of the night. All is well, all is still in the quiet hours of Hogwarts. You may drift now into a deep, easy sleep.